You got the raise. The number on the offer letter changed. The direct deposit reflected it. And for a few weeks, maybe a month, there was a looseness to things, a small buffer, a slightly different feeling when the card was swiped. Then something recalibrated. The pressure returned, not dramatically, not as a crisis, just as a quiet, specific tightening, the same low-grade financial friction you were carrying before, now operating at a higher income level, same percentage of the month spent waiting for the next paycheck, same reluctance before large purchases, same absence of the slack that the raise was supposed to create. This video is not going to tell you that you spent the money wrong. It is going to show you that the money was already spoken for before you spent a single dollar of it, by a set of institutional mechanisms that activate automatically the moment your income crosses specific thresholds. What we are mapping today is not lifestyle. It is institutional extraction, the systematic claim that governments, benefit structures, geographic markets, and financial instruments make on higher earnings before the earner can make any claim of their own. 4 layers, each one a feature of the system, not a flaw in your financial behavior. By the end, the mechanism will be visible in full. The standard explanation of income tax goes like this. Higher earners pay higher rates. The rates apply only to the income within each bracket, and the system is therefore proportional and manageable. That explanation is accurate as far as it goes. It does not go far enough, because the tax code does not extract only through rates. It extracts through phase-outs, the systematic elimination of deductions, credits, and contribution eligibility as income rises. And phase-outs operate at precisely the income levels occupied by the professional class that believes it has already figured out the bracket math. Start with the student loan interest deduction. For a single filer, this deduction, worth up to $2,500 per year, begins disappearing at $75,000 in modified adjusted gross income. It is fully eliminated at $90,000. This means a professional earning $85,000 with student loan interest payments is receiving a partial deduction. A professional earning $91,000 is receiving nothing. The raise that moved them across that threshold did not just generate more taxable income, it simultaneously revoked a standing tax benefit. The effective tax cost of that raise is not the marginal rate applied to the new dollars. It is the marginal rate plus the value of the deduction lost. On a $6,000 raise, crossing that threshold, that combined extraction can approach 50% of the gross increase before any state tax is applied. The traditional IRA contribution deductibility follows the same architecture. For a single filer covered by a workplace retirement plan, the ability to deduct IRA contributions phases out between $77,000 and $87,000 in modified adjusted gross income. A professional earning $86,000 making the maximum $7,000 IRA contribution receives a partial deduction. At $88,000, after a modest raise, they receive none. The retirement savings vehicle they were using has been quietly converted from a pre-tax instrument to a post-tax one, with no change in their behavior, no new decision made, simply because a threshold was crossed. This is the gross salary illusion operating at its most precise. The income went up. The tax treatment of existing financial behavior deteriorated simultaneously. The net effect on actual utility is not what the raise figure suggests. It is what remains after the phase-out. Arithmetic runs, Roth IRA contribution eligibility phases out between $146,000 and $161,000 for single filers in 2024. The child tax credit begins reducing at $200,000. The earned income tax credit has its own income ceiling. These are not rare provisions targeting edge cases. They are the structural furniture of the tax code, and they are positioned with extraordinary precision at the income levels where professional advancement lands people. The fiscal ratchet is the cumulative effect of these simultaneous phase-outs. Each individual phase-out is explicable in isolation. Together, they function as a coordinated extraction system, one that tightens specifically as income rises through the professional tier, ensuring that each dollar of nominal salary growth produces substantially less than a dollar of actual financial utility. For a professional in a high-tax state, California, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, the combined federal marginal rate, state marginal rate, FICA obligation, and phase out losses on a $10,000 raise crossing multiple thresholds, simultaneously can produce a real extraction rate exceeding 55%. More than half of the raise gone before a single discretionary decision is made. This is not tax avoidance advocacy. This is arithmetic. The raise that management presented as meaningful compensation has a second set of numbers attached to it that were never part of the conversation. If layer one is the slow extraction, the phase out that erodes a raise dollar by dollar, layer two is the sudden drop, the moment where a salary increase does not merely reduce benefits incrementally, but eliminates them entirely in amounts that can exceed the raise itself by a factor of 3. This is the benefit cliff. And at its most acute expression, it creates what we will call the middle class dead zone, a specific income band where earning more money produces a net financial outcome that is measurably worse than earning less. The clearest example is child care assistance. The Child Care and Development Fund, administered at the state level with federal matching, provides subsidies that can cover thousands of dollars of annual child care costs for qualifying families. Eligibility thresholds vary by state, but are typically set at percentages of the state median income or federal poverty guidelines. In many states, a household earning $55,000 qualifies for substantial assistance. A household earning $60,000 does not qualify at all. The $5,000 raise did not produce $5,000 in new resources. It produced $5,000 in gross income and eliminated, in a single eligibility determination, child care assistance worth $8,000 to $15,000 annually, depending on the state and number of children. The family that accepted the promotion is now spending more on child care than the raise delivered, net of taxes, which also increased on the new dollars. This is not a hypothetical. It is a documented feature of the benefit structure, studied extensively by welfare economists and described consistently in the policy literature as one of the primary barriers to upward mobility for working families. The system that nominally rewards higher earnings simultaneously punishes the crossing of its own thresholds. The Affordable Care Act premium tax credits operate on the same cliff architecture. These credits are calculated on a sliding scale tied to the federal poverty level minus 100% to 400% of FPL for most eligibility, with an extended range above that. A single adult in a mid-sized market earning $51,000 may receive several $1,000s annually in premium subsidies. At $55,000, that subsidy recalibrates downward substantially. The raise is partially consumed by the increased healthcare cost before it reaches any other expenditure. For a household with children in a state with aggressive childcare subsidy cliffs, the ACA credit phase out, and a student loan deduction elimination all occurring within the same $10,000 income band, the mathematics of a raise can be genuinely negative. Not abstractly, not theoretically, concretely, in the accounting of annual household cash flow. This is institutional extraction at its most structurally complete. The raise triggers the tax harvest of layer one on its new dollars. It simultaneously triggers the benefit cliff of layer two on the household's existing benefit structure. The earner is paying more into the system and receiving less from it simultaneously as a direct consequence of the same income event. The middle class dead zone is not a perception. It is a coordinate on the income map, a band, typically running from roughly $55,000 to $95,000, depending on household composition, state, and benefit configuration, where the marginal utility of additional income is genuinely negative, where the rational economic actor performing the full accounting would prefer the lower salary. The system does not advertise this. The raise still comes with congratulations. Layers 1 and 2 are extractive in the technical sense. They operate through formal mechanisms, coded thresholds, and administrative eligibility rules. Layer 3 operates differently. It extracts through environment, through the implicit geography and social infrastructure of professional advancement itself. This is the zip code tax. The industries and organizations that generate the salary levels we have been discussing, finance, technology, consulting, law, healthcare administration, corporate management, are not distributed evenly across the American economic landscape. they are concentrated. Specifically, they are concentrated in urban markets with among the highest costs of living in the country. This is not accidental. The industries cluster, where talent clusters, where clients cluster, where infrastructure cluster, and the result is a geographic constraint on the professional class. The roles that pay $90,000 to $150,000 exist predominantly in markets where $90,000 to $150,000 is not a wealth-generating income. It is a cost-covering income. The MIT Living Wage Calculator for San Francisco estimates the living wage for a single adult covering basic needs without savings or debt service at approximately $79,000 annually. For a single adult with one child, that figure approaches $130,000. A role that pays $120,000 in San Francisco is not generating financial surplus for a parent. It is approximately covering the floor before the tax harvest of layer 1 and the benefit cliff of layer 2 have run. New York, Boston, Seattle, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, the pattern holds across every major professional hub. The salary that looks substantial on a national comparison basis is in the city where the role exists, calibrated precisely to local cost structures that consume it. The zip code tax is the environmental premium that a higher role imposes on its holder. It operates through housing. The expectation, implicit or explicit, that a professional at a certain level lives in neighborhoods with certain safety, school, and commute profiles, which are priced accordingly. It operates through transportation. Cities where professional roles are concentrated frequently make car ownership mandatory for suburban professionals, or make urban living so expensive that commuting costs become significant. It operates through the social infrastructure of professional networks, the restaurants where deals are discussed, the neighborhoods where professional relationships are maintained, the consumer environments that signal continued membership in a specific professional tier. Then there is the uniform. Professional upkeep is the expenditure category that most consistently evades financial analysis because it presents as choice at the individual level while functioning as mandate at the structural level. The wardrobe required for client-facing professional roles, suits, maintain business casual, industry event attire, carries annual maintenance costs estimated between $2,000 and $6,000 for senior knowledge workers. Dry cleaning cycles, replacement timelines driven by professional visibility, the brand signaling that operates as implicit professional credentialing in industries where appearance is a proxy for judgment. Add the overhead of professional standing, industry conference registrations, certification renewal fees, continuing education requirements for licensed professions, the subscriptions, and publications that constitute professional literacy in most fields. For a senior professional maintaining active participation in their industry, this overhead runs between $3,000 and $8,000 annually, a mandatory expenditure with no optionality for those who intend to remain competitive. The combined zip code tax and professional upkeep burden for a senior professional in a major market adds between $15,000 and $30,000 in annual mandatory expenditure to the cost of holding the role that generated the raise. These costs scale with seniority. They are not recoverable by changing personal behavior. They are the price of admission to the professional tier, paid annually and visible in the offer letter, and never factored into the compensation conversation. Place that figure against the post-layer 1, post-layer 2 raise figure we have been tracking, and the arithmetic is becoming clear. The first 3 layers are extractive in the present tense. They claim income as it arrives. Layer 4 operates in the future tense. It is the mechanism by which a higher income becomes collateral for a larger financial structure, one that once built requires the full income to service and leaves no margin for the income earner to accumulate anything beyond it. This is the debt ratchet. The relationship between income and credit access is direct and well documented. Higher income enables higher credit limits, larger mortgage pre-approvals, and more favorable debt service terms. Lenders extend credit scaled to income, and the financial infrastructure of American adult life is structured to consume the credit that income enables. Housing markets in professional tier geographies price homes at multiples of professional incomes, requiring mortgage debt that consumes 30 to 40% of gross income in monthly service. The professional who achieves the salary required to qualify for that mortgage has achieved the salary required to be maximally leveraged against it. The mechanics of this are precise. A professional earning $110,000 in a major urban market qualifies for a mortgage of approximately $450,000 to $550,000 at current rates. Assuming standard debt-to-income ratios, the monthly service on a $500,000 mortgage at current rates runs approximately $3,200. That is $38,400 per year in pre-tax income, dedicated to a single debt obligation, before taxes on that income, before property taxes, before insurance, before maintenance. The raise that enabled the mortgage qualification is largely consumed by the mortgage itself. Automobile financing follows the same ratchet. Student loan balances accrued during the credential acquisition that generated the professional salary are serviced against that salary at income graduated payment levels under income-driven repayment plans, meaning higher income generates higher mandatory monthly payments on existing educational debt. The professional class is servicing the debt cost of becoming the professional class, scaled to the salary that credentialing produced. The cumulative result is low liquidity living, a financial state in which every dollar of monthly income is allocated before it arrives. Mortgage, auto loan, student loans, professional upkeep, insurance. Debt service on credit extended against the income level. Together, these obligations can account for 85 to 95% of net take-home pay for a professional in the $90,000 to $130,000 range in a major market, not because of poor financial planning, because the debt structures available to and expected of that professional tier are calibrated precisely to consume the income that tier produces. This is the completion of the institutional extraction architecture. The marginal tax harvest claims the raise before it arrives. The benefit cliff eliminates existing support structures simultaneously. The zip code tax and professional upkeep mandate the expenditure of what remains. And the debt ratchet ensures that the income level itself has already been pledged forward, that the salary increase does not represent new freedom, but new collateral. The higher salary does not produce more margin. It produces more obligation at a higher altitude. The professional earns more, owes more, has more structured claims against their future income, and retains, in terms of actual discretionary liquidity, approximately what they retained before the raise. In many cases, less. This is the gross salary illusion completing its full cycle. The number grew. The cage grew to match it. Here is the full accounting for a single professional, a $15,000 gross raise, high-tax urban market, threshold crossing income tier, professional role with upkeep requirements, household with existing debt structure. After the marginal tax harvest and phase-out losses, approximately $8,200 in net new income. After the benefit cliff recalibration, approximately $3,500 if no major subsidy threshold was crossed, potentially negative if one was. After the zip code tax and professional upkeep increase that accompanied the role change, the net new liquidity approaches zero. After the debt ratchet, the mortgage, the auto loan, the student debt service scaled to the new income, the raise has been fully absorbed into the existing obligation structure with no meaningful increase in discretionary financial capacity. The raise was real. The number changed. The institutional response to that number consumed it before it could change anything else. This is not a failure of personal finance. It is the design behavior of institutional extraction. A system in which higher earnings trigger higher claims, in which every threshold crossed activates a new mechanism, in which the fiscal ratchet ensures that marginal utility diminishes precisely as nominal income grows. The professional class is, by the mechanics we have mapped, the most efficiently extracted cohort in the income distribution. Too high to qualify for the support structures available to lower earners. Not high enough to access the wealth-building instruments and tax architectures available to the genuinely wealthy. Caught in the middle class dead zone earning at a level that signals success, while the system processes that signal as an instruction to extract. You got the raise. You got a higher ceiling. The cage was quietly rebuilt around it. The mechanism is not hidden anymore. What happens next is the only variable that was ever yours to control.